Hi there, my name is Danielle McAllister, and I'm an autism spectrum disorder teacher in Bemidji, Minnesota. And I'm just going to speak a little bit about what autism spectrum disorder means, and we call it ASD. It means it is a neurodevelopmental condition that causes issues in a child's verbal and nonverbal communication. Also, their social interaction and their sensory processing. Students on the autism spectrum may have difficulty communicating what they need. They have a hard time with understanding classroom directions and just engaging in typical social interactions. As an autism disorder specialist, it's important that I have skills to understand the effects of ASD on these individuals and their families. And I will learn how to complete a functional behavior assessment and create behavior intervention plans as a teacher, and also implement best practices in teaching and supporting our students with ASD in their schools and at home with their families. As an autism spectrum disorder teacher, my first order of operations is to be an ethical professional and follow the special education principles and special education standards for professional practice from the Council for Exceptional Children. And this is just a baseline that every special education teacher and specialist should have. And it is my first role to know these and to follow these. It is imperative as a special education teacher in autism spectrum disorders that we know the assessment tools, including the terminology and the importance of ongoing evaluation. We need to know and evaluate their strengths and their needs in various contexts, as well as the conditions for individuals who are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. We also need to know and understand how to differentiate general education curriculum and provide supports to facilitate the access to the success for individuals with developmental disabilities and autism spectrum disorder. We also need to understand the range of environmental supports that maximize the learning for individuals with autism, and we need to know the ways to modify and provide accommodations like nonverbal communications and instructional behavior tools so that we can meet the needs of special education students with autism. We also need to have activities and techniques for developing the independent living skills of students. And this comes into play through transition and through high school when we're teaching students how to prepare for their future in both the jobs and independent living skills at home. So between all of these, our ethical standards guide us as special education teachers and specialists, and we cover all of these bases to make sure that every special education student has a standard and we follow that standard as a professional. Thank you. As a special education teacher, I plan on making sure that I follow the individual IEP for each student and that I follow the law under the IDEA Act. And this is so that we make sure that we're providing financial support to our district and our state by following all of these rules, which include every child entitled to the free appropriate education, that we make sure that there's evaluations, that we create the IEP plan, that the education services for children with disabilities must be provided in the least restrictive environment, and that we take into account the input of the child and their parents, and also if that a parent feels the IEP is inappropriate for their child, that we hold an IEP meeting. And I plan to uphold all of these standards from my perspective as a teacher and a professional, and continue to do so as an autism specialist. Thank you.